Good evening, Mr. Kirk. You've obviously devoted a lot of your life to electing, keeping in power Donald Trump, and you did so partly because you said Trump would put Americans first and take them out of foreign conflicts. Should we see how that is going at the moment? Currently, Trump has just accepted a $400 million debt from Qatar, which we're assured is perfectly above board. Billions in arms are going to Saudi Arabia, which they're using to bomb and starve Yemeni children. Not sure how that's in the interest of the United States, but it might be in the interest of the $5.5 billion deal his failed sons are receiving. At the same time, this great president of peace has greenlit mass killings not just in Yemen, but in Gaza, where he greenlit an invasion called Operation Gideon's Chariot with the express aim of wiping out the Gazan population. You promised to put America first. Haven't you and your ilk sold America out?
You know what? The kid's got a point, and it burns, doesn't it, Charlie? You and your little grift operation spent years screaming, America first, like it was some kind of religious revelation, painting yourselves as the anti-establishment crusaders who were going to drain the swamp and put regular Americans first. What a load of garbage. What we got instead was the same corrupt system with different beneficiaries, Trump's family getting billion-dollar deals from the Saudis while American taxpayers foot the bill for weapons that blow up Yemeni school buses. You want to know what America First really means to people like Kirk? It means America first in line to get screwed by a different set of grifters. These people aren't patriots, they're carnival barkers running a shell game, moving the corruption around so their guy gets the payoff instead of the other guy's guy. Kirk's been making a living telling college kids that he's fighting for their future while his movement hands out government contracts to foreign dictatorships like party favors. The audacity is breathtaking.
No. Well, I'm glad you have great intellectual substance and can answer. Because it's all the culture wars for you, isn't it? The second someone actually tells you what you're doing, which is red.
Can you calm down a little bit? Like, just a little bit. Pounding the table, you're all over the place. No. Do you want me to go piece by piece? Or would you like me to talk slower?
I think you can.
Kirk gets cornered with actual facts about Trump's corruption, and his first instinct is to play the condescending teacher. Do you want me to talk slower? Really? That's your move? You know what that is? That's the response of someone who knows they're caught red-handed but thinks they can intimidate their way out of it with cheap theatrics. This is classic grifter behavior. When the numbers don't add up, when the facts are inconvenient, you don't address them, you attack the person asking the questions. You make it about their tone, their delivery, anything except the substance. Kirk's standing there getting absolutely demolished by a college kid with actual receipts, and his brilliant comeback is to act like a substitute teacher dealing with a disruptive student. You want to know why Kirk's doing this? Because he can't defend the indefensible. He can't explain why Trump's family is getting billions from foreign governments while preaching America first. He can't justify weapons deals with regimes that use them to commit war crimes. So instead, he tries to make the questioner look unreasonable. It's pathetic, and it's exactly what every corrupt politician does when they're caught with their hand in the cookie jar.
Number one, Donald Trump is convening a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine.
Convening a peace deal. Listen to that language, folks. Not negotiating, not working toward, but convening. Like Trump's some kind of international peace summit coordinator instead of a guy who can't even keep his own legal team straight. Kirk's trying to sell us on the idea that Trump, the same guy who spent 4 years picking Twitter fights with world leaders, is suddenly Henry Kissinger. Here's the thing about Kirk's peace deal fantasy. Russia didn't even show up to the peace summit he's bragging about. You know what we call a peace negotiation where one side doesn't show up? A monologue. But Kirk wants us to give Trump credit for this imaginary diplomacy while ignoring the actual arms deals happening in broad daylight. This is the con, people. Promise peace while selling weapons. Talk about ending conflicts while signing contracts that perpetuate them. Kirk's not stupid, he knows exactly what's happening. He's just betting that his audience is too distracted by the peace theater to notice the war profiteering happening backstage. It's the oldest trick in the book. Keep them looking at your right hand while your left hand picks their pocket.
One is sending weaponry, one is purchasing. Secondly, you do know that the biggest purchase that was announced was commercial airliner, 737, $100 billion. You've heard of Qatar Airways. They purchased $100 billion of commercial airways. You are right, there were some weapons contracts. But I guess the question is, would you rather have Saudi Arabia buy weapons from America or China?
And there it is. There's the unmasked Charlie Kirk coming out from behind the America First costume. When pressed about selling weapons to regimes that use them to bomb school buses and hospitals, his defense is, well, if we don't sell them the weapons, someone else will. You know what that is? That's the moral reasoning of a drug dealer. Hey, if I don't sell drugs to kids, some other dealer will, so really I'm providing a public service. It's the same logic arms dealers have been using for decades to justify selling death to anyone with a checkbook. And Kirk, our supposed America First patriot, is literally using arms dealer talking points to defend Trump's foreign policy. Here's what Kirk isn't telling you: there's a third option. It's called "don't sell weapons to countries that use them to commit war crimes." Revolutionary concept, I know. But that would require actual principles instead of profit margins. Kirk's sitting there acting like we have to choose between American war profiteering and Chinese war profiteering, when the real choice is between war profiteering and not war profiteering. This is how they get you, people. They present you with false choices and act like those are the only options. Kirk's not defending American interests, he's defending defense contractor interests. There's a difference, even if Kirk's too corrupted by the grift to see it.
I'd rather they not have American weaponry at cut price rates.
See, I disagree.
But let's talk about Qatar for a second.
Okay, fine.
Because you mentioned Qatar. You've been talking a lot about Hamas and the evils of Hamas. Can I ask you, who's the main funder of Hamas?
Well, the Palestine...
State?
Well, the West actually funds Hamas.
Which state?
Well, Iran funds...
No.
Also,
where are the Hamas leaders?
And also
where
Qatar funds Hamas.
Yes.
It is a combination of
is this
international
a state we should
relief
have
organizations.
a 400 million jet with the President of the United States on it?
Hold on. First of all, it was not given to him personally. I understand the optics of it, but it was not given to him personally. It was given to the U.S. government.
Oh, come on, Charlie. Come on. You're really going to stand there and tell us that when foreign governments write checks to Trump, it's actually going to the U.S. government? What's next? Are you going to tell us that when people stay at Trump hotels, they're really just supporting American tourism? This is gaslighting on an industrial scale. Kirk knows damn well that when you're talking about a president who refused to divest from his businesses, who funneled government money to his own properties, and whose family members are getting billion-dollar investment deals from foreign governments, the line between personal and official doesn't exist. It's all one big grift operation. You want to know what Kirk's doing here? He's playing word games while the house burns down. He's arguing about the technical definition of personal gifts, while Trump's family is literally getting paid by foreign governments. It's like watching someone argue about the proper spelling of embezzlement, while they're stuffing cash into their pockets. This is classic political spin. Focus on the technicalities and hope people don't notice the big picture. Kirk's betting that if he can muddy the waters enough about what counts as personal versus official, people will forget that we're talking about massive financial relationships between the Trump family and foreign governments. It's not going to work, Charlie. We can all see what's happening here.
Well, first of all, you should know something about Trump. There's something, if you realize with Trump over the last 10 years, he is quite the social media user and uses hyperbolic language at times. But let me ask you, in the conflict of Israel versus Hamas, who's the good guy?
And here comes Kirk's favorite trick, the false binary. Everything has to be reduced to good guys versus bad guys, like we're watching a Western movie instead of discussing complex geopolitical situations. Kirk can't handle nuance because nuance doesn't sell books or fill speaking venues. You know what this question really is? It's intellectual cowardice disguised as moral clarity. Kirk doesn't want to discuss the actual policies, the actual consequences, or the actual human cost of what's happening. He wants to turn everything into a team sport where you pick a side and cheer. It's easier to sell good guys versus bad guys than it is to explain why American taxpayers should fund military operations that kill civilians. Here's what Kirk isn't telling you. You don't have to pick a team in every conflict. You can actually oppose terrorist attacks and oppose bombing hospitals. You can support Israel's right to exist and oppose policies that maximize civilian casualties. But that kind of thinking doesn't fit on a bumper sticker, and Kirk's whole career is built on bumper sticker politics. This is how these grifters operate. They take complex situations and turn them into simplistic moral tests. If you don't enthusiastically support everything one side does, you must be supporting the other side. It's childish thinking, but it works on people who don't want to do the hard work of actually understanding what's happening in the world.
But when they happen to bomb a place where they are operating their military from, which we now know from third-party verified sources, hundreds of Hamas military operations are in mosques, schools, and hospitals. I'm sorry, the country where they were living in relative peace on October 6th, that all of a sudden we had a war, and Hamas started the war. And I don't see people that were really upset about the 2 million Germans that were killed in World War II, civilians. A tragic truth of war is that civilians die.
A tragic truth of war is that civilians die. There it is. There's Charlie Kirk's version of moral leadership, shrugging his shoulders at dead kids and calling it tragic truth. You know what else is a tragic truth, Charlie? That people like you profit from these conflicts while pretending to care about human life. Kirk's sitting there in his comfortable studio, probably making more money in an hour than most people make in a week, casually discussing civilian casualties like they're statistical anomalies instead of human beings. That's not moral clarity, that's moral bankruptcy. This is a guy who's built his entire career on claiming to fight for Christian values, and when pressed about policies that kill children, his response is basically, well, that's war for you. You want to know what's really tragic? It's that Kirk and his movement had a chance to actually change things. They had a chance to break the cycle of endless wars and weapons sales that they claim to oppose. Instead, they just changed the beneficiaries. Different war profiteers, same dead civilians, same empty justifications. Kirk's tragic truth line is the kind of thing you say when you've already decided that other people's children are acceptable casualties for your political goals. It's the language of people who've never had to explain to a parent why their kid isn't coming home. This is moral cowardice dressed up as tough-minded realism.
Thousands of civilians. And is it working, Mr. Kirk? Is Hamas dismantled?
I've never said that.
You just did.
Well, no.
This is your whole
in
thing.
war, these are called casualties of a war.
We're going to need to stop bringing this
Again,
to close.
I'm not going to justify every military maneuver of a 100,000 person army. Instead, what I will do is I'll be clear that there is a good guy and there is a bad guy. I honestly...
Isn't that the morality of a child?
Well, hold on. It's interesting you say that, because a child...
Let me tell you what we just watched here, because this exchange is a perfect microcosm of everything that's wrong with our political system, and Charlie Kirk is the poster child for how the American people get conned by professional grifters wearing patriotic costumes. We watched Charlie Kirk, supposedly an America First patriot who claims to fight against corruption and foreign influence, get absolutely destroyed by a college kid who actually did his homework. And the most infuriating part? Kirk's response to getting caught red-handed wasn't shame or accountability, it was doubling down on the same rhetorical tricks that got him into this mess in the first place. Kirk's entire performance here is a masterclass in political grifting, and I mean that in the worst possible way. This is textbook stuff. When confronted with specific facts about Trump's financial relationships with foreign governments, he deflects to technicalities about what counts as personal versus official. When pressed about weapons sales to regimes that commit war crimes, he literally uses arms dealer talking points. If we don't sell them weapons, China will. When challenged on the human cost of policies he supports, he shrugs and calls dead civilians a tragic truth of war. Every single response is designed to avoid accountability while maintaining the illusion of moral authority. But here's what really burns me up about Kirk and people like him. They've turned patriotism into a marketing gimmick. This guy has built an entire media empire by wrapping himself in the flag while defending the exact same corrupt system he claims to oppose. Kirk isn't fighting the swamp, he's just trying to make sure his guys control the swamp. He's not opposing foreign influence. He's perfectly fine with foreign influence as long as it benefits the right people. He's not protecting American interests, he's protecting the interests of defense contractors, foreign governments, and Trump family businesses. You want to know what America First really means to people like Kirk? It means America first in line to get screwed by a different set of grifters. These people aren't patriots, they're carnival barkers running a shell game, moving the corruption around so their team gets the payoff instead of the other team. Kirk's been making a living telling college kids that he's fighting for their future while his movement hands out government contracts to foreign dictatorships like party favors. The audacity is breathtaking, but what's worse is that it works. The most telling moment in this entire exchange is when Kirk asks, "Who's the good guy in the Israel-Hamas conflict?" That's his worldview in a nutshell, everything reduced to simplistic team sports where you don't have to think about actual policies or consequences, you just have to pick a side and defend everything they do. It's intellectually lazy, morally bankrupt, and politically profitable. Kirk can't handle nuance because nuance doesn't sell books, fill speaking venues, or generate clickbait headlines. This is the conservative movement under people like Kirk, a protection racket for corruption, wrapped in the flag and sold with patriotic rhetoric. They've taken every legitimate concern about government overreach, foreign influence, and political corruption, and turned it into a fundraising operation. They don't want to solve these problems, they want to profit from people's anger about these problems while making sure nothing actually changes. Kirk represents everything that's wrong with professional politics in America, but he's worse than your typical politician because at least most politicians are honest about being politicians. Kirk pretends to be some kind of grassroots activist fighting the establishment while he is the establishment. He's not a public servant or even a real activist, he's a content creator who discovered that outrage pays better than honest analysis. He's built an entire media empire by telling people what they want to hear while the very system he claims to oppose continues to function exactly as it always has, just with different people getting rich. The business model is brilliant in its cynicism: identify legitimate problems that make people angry, promise simple solutions that sound good in sound bites, never actually implement those solutions because then you'd lose your source of outrage, and profit from the cycle indefinitely. Kirk isn't trying to end foreign influence in American politics, he's trying to redirect it. He doesn't want to stop weapons sales to human rights abusers, he wants to make sure American companies get the contracts. He doesn't want to end corruption, he wants his team to be the ones doing the corrupting. And the most insidious part of Kirk's operation is how he's weaponized legitimate frustration with the political system. There are millions of Americans who are genuinely fed up with politicians who say one thing and do another, who promise to fight for working people while enriching themselves and their donors. Kirk has taken that legitimate anger and redirected it toward his own grift operation. He's convinced these people that the solution to political corruption is more political corruption, just with different beneficiaries. Look at how Kirk handled every substantive challenge in this debate. When confronted with Trump's financial relationships with foreign governments, he doesn't deny them, he argues about semantics. When pressed about weapons sales to regimes that kill civilians, he doesn't defend the morality of those sales, he argues about market economics. When challenged about the human cost of policies he supports, he doesn't engage with the moral implications, he falls back on, "That's just how war works." Every response is designed to avoid the actual issue while appearing to address it. This is what professional gaslighting looks like, folks. Kirk knows exactly what he's doing. He's not confused about the facts, he's not misunderstanding the criticisms, and he's not operating in good faith. He's running a con game, and the marks are the very people he claims to represent. The America First voters who genuinely want their government to prioritize American workers over foreign interests are getting sold out by the very people they trusted to fight for them. The saddest part is that there are real problems with American foreign policy that need addressing. There really is corruption that needs fighting. There really are foreign influences that need opposing. But as long as people like Kirk are leading the conversation, nothing will change because they're not actually interested in solutions. They're interested in maintaining the outrage that keeps them relevant and profitable. They need the problems to continue because the problems are their product. Kirk's entire career is built on selling people the illusion of resistance while actually reinforcing the status quo. He gives his audience the emotional satisfaction of fighting the system while making sure the system continues to function exactly as it always has. It's political theater designed to exhaust people's capacity for real change by channeling their energy into performative outrage that goes nowhere. That college kid who demolished Kirk? He did more real journalism in one exchange than Kirk has done in his entire career. He came with facts, figures, and follow-up questions. He wasn't interested in scoring political points or defending a team, he was interested in accountability. Kirk came with talking points, deflection, and condescension. And that tells you everything you need to know about who's actually serving the public interest here. The kid exposed something crucial. When you strip away the patriotic rhetoric and the America First branding, Kirk is just another political operator defending the same corrupt system he claims to oppose. He's not fighting for American workers, he's fighting for defense contractors. He's not opposing foreign influence, he's redirecting it. He's not draining the swamp, he's just making sure his alligators get to eat first. This is why our political system is broken, people. It's not broken because of some abstract failure of institutions or because voters are too stupid to understand complex issues. It's broken because grifters like Kirk have figured out how to profit from dysfunction while preventing any real solutions. They've turned legitimate political movements into personal enrichment schemes, and they've convinced their followers that this is actually fighting the system. Kirk and people like him are parasites on American democracy. They feed off the genuine frustrations and legitimate concerns of regular people. They promise solutions they have no intention of delivering, and they profit from the cycle of outrage and disappointment they create. They're not patriots, they're political entrepreneurs who found a way to monetize American decline while accelerating it. The real tragedy is that the problems Kirk claims to care about, foreign influence, political corruption, endless wars, are real problems that deserve serious attention. But as long as these issues are being addressed by professional grifters who profit from perpetuating them, nothing will get better. Kirk doesn't want to solve America's problems, he wants to own them, brand them, and sell them back to the American people at a markup. That's what we watched in this debate, a professional con artist getting exposed by someone who actually cares about the issues rather than the industry built around them. And Kirk's response? Double down, deflect, and hope his audience doesn't notice the difference between fighting for America and fighting for access to America's checkbook.
When